It's tax season again in Canada, and so this year, let's make sure you can maximize your return as best as possible. And this video could literally save you hundreds of dollars on your taxes this year. Hey, I'm Austin from Sale Financial Ed, and I help forward-thinking millennials get further in life faster with what they already have. As of February 28, 2019, tax season opened up again in Canada, which means that you can file your taxes anytime you want between now and April 30th. So today's video will be part 1 of 4 to help you complete your taxes in the 2019 tax season. So in this part, I'll cover the basics of income taxes and how you can file your taxes for free and still get the best return possible. In part 2, I'll explain the documents that you need to gather together to make sure that you can get that sweet return. And in part 3, I'm going to talk about how you actually go about submitting your tax return. And for part 4, after you've received your awesome return back, I'll talk about some opportunities that you have to use it to make yourself some more money. I also want to note that I'm not an accountant, and this video is more for people who have modest incomes and simple tax returns. If you're in real estate or have a lot of investments or you're self-employed or freelance, then find a good accountant because they'll be able to help you save a lot more money than these basic tips. And also for everyone, if you're interested in a video about finding financial professionals, let me know because I have some tips on that as well. Lastly, please do consider sharing this video because you have to file your taxes eventually this year, and it can really impact your personal finances whether you do it correctly or not. So the more people know how to do it properly, the better. So to begin, let's talk about some of the basics of how income tax works. Essentially, this is the time of year where you square up with the government. So if you've already paid too much in taxes, then great, you get a return. And if you haven't paid enough in taxes, then now is your time to pay your dues. And of course, this is known as income tax because it's focused on your earned income, which differs from things like sales tax or other provincial taxes like your PST, QST, HST, and GST. So how does this all actually work? Let's say you made $50,000 in 2018. That would mean that over the course of that year, you would have also paid about $11,000 in taxes, which would have been taken off your paychecks. And that's crazy because that's about 22% of your earned income, which is the equivalent of a 2011 used Mercedes-Benz Sport. But what if you just finished school and are paying off OSAP? Great, there's a tax credit. What if you're renting an apartment? Great, there's a tax credit there as well. What if you made a charitable donation? There's another tax credit. And if you contributed to your RRSP, boom, there's a tax deduction. With all these deductions and tax credits that you so wisely earned over the year, you've reduced your tax burden, which means that you get a better return. And that's why doing your taxes properly and effectively is so important, because you could greatly reduce the amount of taxes that you actually have to pay by knowing what it is that you can submit to get your tax credits and tax deductions. By the way, the difference between credits and deductions is that credits reduce the amount that you owe. So let's say that you have to pay $5,000 in taxes, but you get a $1,000 tax credit. That means you only pay $4,000 in taxes. And a deduction reduces the amount of your earned income that is taxable. So let's say that $50,000 that you earned last year, you had $10,000 in tax deductions, which means you would only actually have to pay tax on $40,000 for that year. And that's a pretty steep change, and that could save you thousands of dollars on your tax return that year. And if you have any questions about this stuff, then please rewatch it or comment below, and I'm happy to respond to you or point you towards the resources or someone who can tell you more about it. Think of the Canadian tax code as a treasure map to reducing the amount of taxes that you pay on your income. The reason why big companies and wealthier people are able to pay less in taxes often is because they know how to use their money in a way that reduces their tax burden, which helps keep money in their pockets. And they do that with the help of accountants who know the tax code very thoroughly. The reason for this is because these bigger companies and typically wealthier people are able to provide more to boost the economy. So tax credits and deductions are typically given to people who can provide more economic activity. So with all that said, where should you file your taxes? So for many of us young Canadians who have modest incomes and simple taxes, we can just settle for a place like H&R Block, which is fine, but they charge 15% up to the first $300 and then 5% after that. So if you're getting a return of maybe $2,000 this year, which is not uncommon for young people like us, then you could be paying up to $300 of that right to them to be filing these taxes for you when you could just as easily be doing it yourself. So I suggest two other options. The first would be to use online free tax software like TurboTax or StudioTax. Hey, I'm just editing my video right now, and I noticed actually today that there's H&R Block online tax filing, and that's free. So that is another online alternative for you to use as well. If you don't want to go into branch or store or whatever to H&R Block and pay for it, you could just use it online like you would with TurboTax, StudioTax, or now this one as well. So just more that you know. Back to the rest of the video. Both offer easy to use interfaces and guidance to help you properly file your taxes, which is really helpful for people who haven't done it before. This is what I recommend most because it's good to understand what's happening with your money and how your taxes work, because that helps you keep track and steer where your financial goals are headed. But if you really don't want to file your taxes yourself and you don't want to pay for it, you might have one other option. If you fit the eligibility to do so, the Canadian Revenue Agency, or the CRA, which is where you submit your taxes to, offers a volunteer tax filing service in almost every city across Canada. You do have to have a modest income and simple tax filings to be eligible to use these volunteer clinics though. And of course, I've put all the links in the description down below for all these services so you can figure out what is the best avenue for you to take. I have not used any of the volunteer tax filing clinics, so I'm not really sure what the experience is like, but you can set up an appointment or you can do walk-ins, and I believe they have a drop-off and pick-up service as well. So there are options for people with busier schedules. So that's it for part 1 of my tax season series. I truly hope you found this video useful, and I definitely look forward to giving you more information on how you can file your taxes effectively in my next few videos. If this video brought you value, then let me know by smashing the like button. And if you want to be the first to know when I drop my other videos for this tax season series, then of course subscribe and hit the little bell, and you'll be one of the first people to know. But with that said, I will see you in the next video. Bye!